Hello and welcome to another OJCS Storytime video. This week we're reading one of my favorite books. This is called The Mushroom Fan Club by Elise. And as you can tell from my shirt, I'm a big fan of mushroom identification. That means going into the woods and figuring out what's what, taking photos of what I see, because they're all so colorful. And Elise Gravel has written lots of books that you might have already read. Olga and the Smelly Thing from Nowhere, The Great Antonio. She's written that whole series about creepy bugs that we have, very cartoony bugs like the worm and the cockroach, and she has all kinds of other ones in that bug series which are so fun to read too. And we have a lot of her books in French also. So this one is all about mushrooms, and it's a little bit longer than a regular picture book because it's nonfiction, and nonfiction means that it tells you all about something for real. It's not a regular story. It's explaining something to you. So this is a nonfiction picture book. All right. The Mushroom Fan Club by Elise Gravel. You know what I love? Walking in the woods and looking for mushrooms with my kids. It's like a treasure hunt that nature organized just for us. I'm obsessed with bizarre creatures, and mushrooms are certainly strange. They look like aliens from outer space. Mushrooms are not plants or animals. They're a kingdom of their own, the realm of fungi. Many mushrooms look like the one I've drawn here, but not all of them. They come in many shapes, sizes, and colors. Their smells differ wildly. Some stink horribly. Others have a delicious perfume. There are some next to my cottage that smell like maple syrup. This picture shows you the different parts of a mushroom. You have the cap, you have the spores, you have the stalk, the vulva, the mycelium, and the ring. These are all different parts of the mushroom. When you try to identify a mushroom, you have to look under its cap. You'll find clues under there. Some have gills that are like paper-thin blades. There are thousands of different mushrooms like this, including kinds found at grocery stores. Others have little needles, and some have tiny holes like a sponge. It's through these various types of underbellies that they produce and release spores, which are a bit like seeds. This is how mushrooms reproduce. So this is showing the different kinds of gills. So mushroom with spines, mushroom with gills, mushroom with pores. Those are all the different types. You can see how different that is. Some mushrooms grow in the grass, others in dead leaves or on rotten wood or even on living trees. Some are so tiny we can't even see them, and others are as big as a baseball field. I don't know them all. There are too many. There are millions of fungus species around the world. Some people know a lot more about mushrooms than I do. They're called mycologists. I'm no expert, I'm an amateur. I just love looking at mushrooms. The proof that I'm no expert, I draw them with eyes. Yeah, we don't have mouths either. And we can speak. But I'm not the only one who likes finding mushrooms. Many animals and bugs like them too. When you walk in the woods, you might encounter some of these wild mycologists. Would you like to come for a walk with us? I'll introduce you to some of my mushroom buddies. But first, I'd like you to follow these 2 rules. Number 1, protect their environment. Mushrooms are often friends with the plants in the forest, helping them and many animals survive. So be gentle and don't litter, and try not to pick too many mushrooms. Leave some for the slugs and squirrels. And you can always draw a picture of the mushrooms you find, or even take a photo. Number 2, don't eat them. Many mushrooms are poisonous. Only grown-up mycologists know for certain which ones are safe to eat. We can make you very sick, and even worse. Never, ever, ever eat them. The only ones you should be eating are the ones you find at the grocery store or at the farmer's market. So we're going to start talking about the different kinds of mushrooms. These ones are called bullets. If you find a mushroom with sponge-like holes under its cap, it might be a bullet. There are many species of bullets, and some are delicious. You can find dried bullets in grocery stores. Some bullets turn blue when we touch them. It's very pretty. Others have a slimy cap like a slug, and some have spots that look like dragon scales. Bugs like bullets a lot, so these mushrooms are often home to hundreds of tiny worms. The chanterelle. The chanterelle is one of the first mushrooms I learned to identify. They're very bright orange and often grow with a bunch of friends. They're easy to recognize because their cap looks like a trumpet. Instead of gills, they have little folds like an old person's wrinkles. Some mushrooms look like chanterelles but are very toxic. They're called jack-o'-lantern mushrooms. It's a pretty name, don't you think? The main difference between them is jack-o'-lantern mushrooms have real gills instead of wrinkles. The morel. Oh, one of the most delicious mushrooms. Morels. They're so cute. They look like an alien's brain. I love morels, and when I find some, I jump all over the place and squeal. It's silly, but I can't help myself. It's because I don't find them often. Morels like to grow where there have been forest fires. They love the ashes. They're hard to see because they look like the dead leaves they grow on, or like pine cones. They're hide-and-seek champions. Polypores. You can see them all growing on the tree trunks, and I bet you've seen lots of those in your neighborhood. My daughter's favorite mushrooms are polypores. These hard mushrooms often grow on tree trunks or roots and can get pretty big. My oldest daughter collects them. We once found one as big as a plate. These mushrooms are cool because you can find them even in the winter. The false morel. Here's another guy that looks like a brain. Its Latin name is Gyrometra. Since it looks a bit like a morel, it's sometimes called a false morel. When you touch it, it feels like cold rubber, and it's hollow on the inside. If I were a bug, I'd like my house to be inside a Gyrometra. The Lactarius indigo. Some mushrooms produce a liquid that looks like milk when you cut them. We call these Lactarius mushrooms. The Lactarius indigo is special because the milk it produces is bright blue. I've never found any, but I keep looking. I think they're quite rare. If you see one, you're lucky. I'll be jealous and insist you take me mushroom hunting with you next time. The puffball. The puffball is an interesting specimen. When it's young, it's all white and smooth like an egg or a golf ball. Then, as it grows up, it turns yellow or brown or gray, and then something funny happens. If you step on it, poof, it bursts into a cloud of smoke like a cartoon fart. It's their way of freeing their spores. Elegant, isn't it? Some of them are huge like basketballs. We call them giant puffballs. Hee hee hee. Fart. I'm taking a little break from sharing facts to draw my daughter stepping on puffballs. It's too fun. I know I said not to destroy mushrooms, but no need to worry about puffballs. They like it when you step on them. It makes their spores go everywhere, which helps them to reproduce. So the more you step on a puffball, the more puffballs there will be. And I like to find these in the woods too. And near my house, they're like these little round things, and I'll pick them up and squeeze them, and it goes poof. Very cool if you can find them. The coral mushroom. I really like this one. It looks like something that would grow at the bottom of the sea. That's why they're called coral mushrooms. Some are gray or white or pink, but this one is my favorite. I've seen very big ones. Instead of a cap, it has many fingers that point to the sky. They're very fragile. Be gentle with them. The fly agaric. The fly agaric's a very pretty mushroom. I find them all the time. Their caps are red or yellow depending on where in the world you find them. Illustrators, like me, love to draw them in picture books. They're so handsome. When they grow, the fly agaric comes out of something that looks like an egg. We call it fly agaric because a long time ago, people would crush them in milk to repel flies. They're very pretty, but don't eat them. They're toxic. So people would smush them up and leave this milk in their house, and it would keep the flies out of the house. Get rid of flies. The dog stinkhorn. This fly says, "Oh, yummy." And this other one says, "It smells so good." These guys are the kings of the stinkers. They smell like dog poop. The smell is so strong that sometimes you smell them even before you see them. They stink like this to attract flies who help them disperse their spores. I've seen some in a park near my house, and believe me, you don't want to eat them. Unless you're a fly, of course. Destroying Angel. Has a very scary name. This one says, "How do you like my little skirt?" Ooh, Amanita virosa. Every time I see one, I get chills. It's because it's one of the most toxic mushrooms. It can even be deadly. It's sometimes called a destroying angel. To me, it looks like a ghost. So this one, don't touch it, all right? Do not go near this one. As I was saying earlier, there are so many species of mushrooms. I wish I could tell you about all of them, but that would be a very long book. Instead, I'll tell you about the beautiful mushroom names I've come across. Just listen to those names. How poetic. They sound like the ingredients for a witch's spell. So I will read them to you right now. Pink disco, drab tooth, golden navel, the pretender, wet rot, gassy webcap, dewdrop dapperling, ink cap, cinnamon jelly baby, bug sputnik, bird's nest fungi, funeral bell, cat dapperling, bald knight, witch's butter, bitter poison pie, lion shield, jack-o'-lantern, potato earth ball, mealy oyster, vampire's bane, cabbage parachute, hot lips, dead mole's finger, plums and custard, whiskery milk cap, King Alfred's cake, elbow patch crust, tiger's eye, drumstick truffle club, devil's fingers, turquoise elf cup, and powdery piggyback. Whoa. Out of all those names, if I had to pick a favorite name out of all those crazy names, I think I would have to say witch's butter. Sounds pretty spooky. When we came back from our walks, we put our treasures on the table and look in our books to try to identify them all. It's so hard. So many of them look alike. So they have a special guidebook, and I have one of those. It has photographs of all the different kinds of mushrooms. So when they get back with their mushrooms, they try to figure out what each one is. So, did you enjoy our treasure hunt? Would you like to find out more about mushrooms? There are many books about fungi where you'll discover wonders I don't even know about. Check them out at your local library. And don't forget to take lots of walks in the woods. Have fun now. Mushroom facts. In case I still haven't convinced you that mushrooms are cool, there are about 30 species. Here's some mushroom facts. There are about 30 species of mushrooms that glow in the dark. The super mushroom from Mario is the poisonous fly agaric. Mushrooms grow better where lightning has recently struck. Crack. This mushroom, called sulfur shelf, grows on trees and tastes almost exactly like fried chicken. Bok, bok, bok. In Oregon, there's a mushroom that is 2,400 years old. Its mycelium, the underground part of the mushroom, covers a surface bigger than a soccer field. It's destroying thousands of trees. Here we go. Mushrooms can be used to make bread, beer, medication, fabric and wool dye, bricks, fake leather, cheese, and much more. See? We're magic. Things that happened to me while hunting mushrooms. I found a moose skull. I scared a snake. Came face to face with a porcupine. Found a giant bear poop. Met a baby deer. Walked on a wasp nest. Ouch. Walked into poison ivy. Double ouch. Met nice people and made new friends. Mushroom hunting is a big adventure. Watch out for poison ivy. Here's a picture of what poison ivy looks like. How to do a spore print. Spore prints are very pretty, and the color of the spores can even help you identify the mushrooms. You'll need a mushroom, some paper, a glass or a bowl, a glass for small mushrooms, a bowl for bigger ones. Remove the stem. You only need the cap. You can do this with any mushroom you have at home. Put the mushroom cap on a piece of paper with the tubes or gills facing down. Cover it with a glass or a bowl. So you're covering the cap of the mushroom with a glass on a piece of paper. Let it sit all night. In the morning, you should see a pretty spore print. If you can't see anything, it's because the spores are the same color as your paper. You can decorate them too, like I did. It's like a stamp. It'll actually make a picture. Here's a picture of her, Elise Gravel, and her family with all the mushrooms that they collected on one of their walks. I hope you guys learned a lot about mushrooms, and I hope that you try making a spore print with a mushroom that you have in your fridge. Another activity that you guys can do is if you go for a walk in the woods, take lots of photographs of them, and I will post up on this page some of the photos I've taken in the woods of mushrooms. Me and my daughter also did a project yesterday where we painted some Elise Gravel mushrooms. So here's one that my daughter did. She did such a good job. It is so cute. And here's one that I did. And I wrote down what kind of mushrooms they were. So this was the black morel, the salmon nolania, and the cranberry waxy caps. So you guys can make your own paintings or drawings of silly mushrooms with faces, just like Elise Gravel. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye.